Hey guys, so I'm doing a quick video on the sit-up guard. It's one of my favorite positions in Jiu Jitsu. It's extremely easy to sweep, it's extremely easy to set up, and it works great versus large opponents. So I'm going to include a lot of sparring video at the end. Be sure to watch to that. But first I'm going to do a breakdown on the mat, giving you guys an overview so that when you watch the sparring footage, you better understand what's going on. Also, be sure to comment if you guys have any requests for future videos or topics you would like to see. And as always, if you like the channel, like, share, subscribe. Thanks a lot. So the sit-up guard is one of the most powerful sweeping positions in Jiu Jitsu. You can get to it from so many situations. If my opponent steps in, I could just approach and go to it directly from here. I like to use it a lot from De La Riva, where I have a sleeve, I push his hip out, sit up. You could be playing a reverse De La Riva and sit up. Just pretty much any way you can get to this position, you can build. So the basic system though, is I'm gonna push his hip out, right? I want to have a lot of space, and I use my left heel to clamp behind his calf. This makes it so he can't step out as I sit up. I sit up as high as I can. Again, the more distance I have, the easier it is to sit up. If you're too close, your leg is jammed up and you can't sit up. I'm going to go as deep as I can with my left arm here to hook his leg. I don't want to be grabbing with my hand or my forearm. I want my whole body to hook this so I can pull it in and create that buckle off balance motion. So as I create this, now I have control. It's very hard for him to step out. From here, the first attack series I usually look for is to feed this sleeve to my left hand. If I get this, I can grab the lapel, I pull really tight, and I can dump him forward, and either he'll sweep directly or he'll post his hand like he did. I can drive and come up and finish here. Another variation of this finish when I'm up here is as I feed this, he's gonna push this down. As I get this fed, I get the lapel, and now I can't kick out the leg, but that's fine. I'm gonna put my right foot under his tailbone. I pull down hard, you'll need to back up a little bit, and I'm gonna force him to bump. When he posts this arm here, it's very easy to grab this tricep here. I push out, and now I can start coming up. If he doesn't succeed the sweep immediately, it's very easy to come up here and start progressing towards the back and going for the finish from here. Another system from here is as I go up, I get the grip, I cannot get this sleeve, right? Or as I try to get the sleeve, he rips it away before I can get the lapel. So I don't have the sleeve. I always want to keep my right foot up on the hip as I do this, because if I leave it down, there's a chance he could knee cut past me. Right? But if I have the foot up, he cannot knee cut past until he pushes the leg down, which is going to give me access to the sleeve. So now as I sit up here, I pull, I'm going to get control of his lapel instead. So as he tries to push this leg down, I get his sleeve, I keep my knees tight, and now as we drive in, I can start bumping with the legs again, and I create the exact same situation where I can drive the tricep, come up on top, go into a single leg, come up here and start taking the back. Anything will work from there. So another common situation here is as I come up and get this single leg grip, I get the lapel, is he's gonna start looking for the back step, right? Now, one thing with the back step is if you're loose here, he'll be able to do it easier. The deeper I get on this initial grip and I hook with the arm, I kind of get behind his leg. It's very difficult for him to do, and if he does, I will feel it coming. So you can go around the backside. What I'm gonna do now is as he goes for the back step, I'm just gonna lift my left foot high. I don't want my back step now a little bit. I don't want my leg to get stuck in between like this, right? So what I want to do is as he starts to back step, I just lift this up because he's not going to be able to step high enough to block that. That'll off balance him a little bit. As he steps back, I switch my hand from the sleeve to the collar and I punch the neck. From here, I can feed my right butterfly hook and I keep elevated. From here, come back up on top. It's very hard for him to come back up. And now I can inch my knee out and come up on top and now progress towards a folding pass or whatever I want from there. One more really common situation once you sit up here is as you go for the single leg, the guy will start digging an underhook. As long as I have this sleeve and this lapel, I don't care about this underhook at all. In fact, I actually prefer them to get it. Because now I'm gonna do the same off balance as before. He just can't even post with this. So he goes deeper on that underhook even. Here, now as he drives in, look, I just bump. There's no post, he's just gonna face plant. I can come up on top, and from here it's very easy to switch into a folding pass, potentially start threatening the back, and continuing from there. One other common situation is I can't get the sleeve, so I have to switch to a single leg. Usually I do this if he postures up really hard because it's hard to get the sleeve. So what I do is I'm gonna pull back with my elbow to pull him forward, and that makes it easier to get this lapel. Worst case, if he stays really tall, I'll pull the lapel out and feed it to my left hand. From here, if he stays really tall, it's really easy. I get my body weight behind his hamstring, and I just do a technical stand up and pinch the knees, his leg in between my knees. From here, the easiest finish I like to do is just to grab the knee, I pull it in, I use my head like a ram to drive him to the floor. Once I take him down, very often you can transition this directly to a folding pass. I have his leg already trapped in between my knees, so now I'm gonna put my chest weight over his chest, drop my hips heavy, and then I can either use my left foot here to pummel over like this here, and then switch towards a pass on this side, or I can pummel over and switch my left foot over and progress towards side control here as well. Okay, so in this first sequence, I'm starting from a De La Riva position. So I have my left hand on the ankle and my right hand on the far sleeve. So I try to take him backwards for a bolo first, and then now he defends by stepping his leg back, and I push his hip out to go to the sit-up guard. I start off getting that really deep elbow position. You can see him starting to dig the underhook here. And this is where when they go for that underhook, they actually think they have a good position, but since I have a sleeve grip with my right hand on his left arm, as he drives in for this cut, he's gonna get super off balanced, and I just bump him forward here, and I can come up on top. That's a really common mistake people will make. Next sequence, I'm starting off here in the grip fight. I'm controlling the distance with my right arm on that far collar. My left hand is on the sleeve. Now, as I fall back, I put the foot on the hip, I get the De La Riva hook, and now instead of having the sleeve to go to sit-up guard, I pull hard on that collar as I sit up, and I feed it to my left hand there. Once my left hand gets it, I have a good strong posture break here. I switch back to the sleeve, and again, if he continues to drive in, he's very off balance to his left side, and I can even fall back and force the bump here. So I bump him again, I come up. Right here, I wrap my left arm around his hip. I'm trying to progress towards the back, but he ends up conceding the sweep and going down, which gives me a pretty good passing position in a folder. And now I come up and start working into a knee cut type position from here. Again, we're in the grip fight. I'm maintaining distance, backing up. I get a sleeve. I drop back to my right foot on the hip. And now I'm starting to look for a collar sleeve situation. He starts to put his opposite knee forward. This becomes kind of a far side collar sleeve. And it's really easy to switch when you have the far side back to the left side to go to De La Riva. So I go straight from there with the sleeve to the sit-up guard. I think this time I actually fed his sleeve to my left hand. And then now I'm gonna use that foot under the tailbone to bump. In this case, he tries to back step his way out of it. And I do that technique I showed where you put the right foot in as a butterfly hook and elevate, and you kind of inch your way up and bring him down to the floor. It's a really useful one I learned from Lucas Lepre. Now I'm in on a knee cut. Okay, now I'm rolling my friend Josh Presley. I'm playing double sleeve here. And again, just showing you can transition to this from so many different guards. I go straight from double sleeve when he's on one knee up. Notice I get really deep with that elbow. And now I'm about to bump with that foot under the butt. And in this case, he's wrapped. So he's probably either gonna try a back step or flop down, but I end up bumping him here and he just rolls through. And I think he tries to jump for a bolo from here actually. So he tries to dive for my back when he realizes he's gonna get bumped here, right? And then now we end up in kind of a bolo scramble. My left shin blocks his back take, and now I'm progressing to try to chase his back here myself. So this is a little bit more complicated. I didn't go into in the video. I'll probably cover bolo in a future video. Now I'm progressing up towards the back here. I've almost got the back. Scrambles out really well at the end. I go for an omoplata here, which is pretty often if you go for the back and the guy defends by getting back to the closed guard, he'll expose an omoplata attempt. So I go for that, I miss it, progress chasing the back. He ends up getting me back down in closed guard. And again, here I just go right back to offense. I go double sleeve. I push his hip out, get the De La Riva hook, and I'm pushing his hip out again here, right back to the sit-up guard. I get that elbow position, I'm gonna bump again. This time, I think as he rolls through, I'm able to refeed that butterfly hook again and do that kind of inch crawling up position. And the next sequence is actually not sit-up guard at all. I just included this because it was a cool clip in the sparring, but I'm actually gonna use the vice guard in this sequence. So what happens here is I'm always trying to set distance because it breaks my opponent's posture. And now as he kind of leans down, it's an easy time to go for a loop choke. So I go for the loop choke, I set distance again, and now he keeps his posture up a little bit more, which makes the omoplata a little bit easier to chase. So now I'm gonna switch my left hand from the sleeve to behind his tricep. You can kind of see it underneath there. And now I'm gonna start pulling the omoplata. So this defense is, as I tried to pull the omoplata, he tries to shoot his arm to the far side hip because it makes it really hard to pull through for the omoplata. And I kind of real time just made this up on the go and saw it there, so I let go and switched to the vice guard grip. I have an entire video on the vice guard if you haven't seen it before, but usually I go for a triangle choke from here But since he's on one knee up, it's often easier to transition towards a crab ride. So I grab his hip with my left hand here. Now my right foot I set in as a butterfly hook. He tries to roll out, and now I'm in a crab ride situation. I start to grab high in the back, I pull him up, and now I'm climbing up to the back. From here, I turn this into a crucifix. And then instead, I just decide to come up on top, make it easier here. And then, yep, now we're back in double sleeve. So again, this is not a sit-up guard sequence, but it was a cool clip and I wanted to show it. So I'm playing double sleeve, and a lot of times it's really easy to attack the far side for a triangle choke. So what I do is usually when you attack the near side, their elbow and knee is tight. So by lassoing on the opposite side, often their elbow knee space opens up and you can shoot that triangle. There, get the finish. And now the last sequence we're gonna look at is actually a clip from Lucas Lepre competing. So Lucas Lepre here is in the knee shield versus Kainan Duarte. You're gonna see him digging for an underhook with his right arm to go to kind of a half guard position. And from here, he really quickly switches to the single leg guard on the opposite side that I was showing. From here, he can continue. He's got that sleeve. He's looking to create the bump. Kainan's holding the lapel to try to keep balance. And Lucas Lepre progresses forward. Here they do a reset, so I just kind of fast forward for a second, and now we're back in the same position. There's a really cool sequence that happens here where Lucas tries to come up for the single leg, and Kainan Duarte is going to step out of it, and he uses it immediately to transition to the sit-up guard on the opposite side. You'll see it in a second here. So again, he's got the sleeve trying to get that bump. He pushes out on the hip to create a little more space so he can start to sit up. The gi's a little tangled. Right here, it's coming up. There, he steps out and goes right to sit up guard on the other side. And in this case, this is a sequence I didn't show. He uses the shin on shin to go under, and he's still maintaining that sleeve. And then now, as he goes under, he immediately puts the foot on the opposite side thigh so he can press his weight out, making it lighter for him to come up on the single leg. From here, I think Kainan ends up putting him back down to the ground, but he never loses the sit-up guard position. He still has that tight control behind the knee. It's very hard to get out of this. Lucas continues to control the sleeve. And I think here he's still got the shin on shin again and pushes out and stands up again. Now from here, they go into more of just a single leg finishing position. Usually here, Lucas is gonna be looking for his right hand, the free arm, to be looking for either the far pant leg to just take down with like a double leg, a high lapel grip to dump his balance to Lucas Lepre's right, or a sleeve grip to kind of also pull the guy's posture down a bit. So you can see they're playing a little bit of a grip fighting game here. Lucas ends up getting a high lapel grip here. He's trying to off balance him left or right. I think he goes for the double leg there, can't quite get it. He's gonna get a high lapel again, and then you're gonna see him snap his posture down really hard and then drive and elevate that leg, and it makes it really hard to defend. So now Lucas is on top, progressing into a passing position. All right, guys, be sure to comment and let me know what you think of this format of video. I'm really enjoying making them. I'm putting the technique portion up front because I think it makes it easier to understand the mat video, but I know a lot of people just like to see pure mat video as well. I just think it's a little bit harder with context. So if you guys have any advice or perspective that you would think would make these format of videos better, please comment and let me know. And as always, if you guys like the channel, like, share, subscribe. Thanks a lot.